On November 3rd, 1990, a strange sculpture would be created on the grounds of the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. A strange sculpture to say the least, being 12 feet high, being built with verdigrised copper, granite, and wood. The sculpture is shaped as a vertical S, almost resembling some type of scroll or paper unraveling to reveal encrypted text. But there's something odd about it though. The sculpture contained 1,800 characters in it, and within it were said to contain many encrypted messages. A total of 4 encrypted passages were stated to be hidden within the sculpture. Though skeptics and cryptologists interested, this raised curiosity around the sculpture. And so, with this would take place the largest hunt in cryptology history. Once the plate is deciphered, I'm not convinced the true meaning will be clear even then.
There are deeper mysteries.
But before we do dive into the video, consider subscribing because I post content like this almost every single week. Also, I would like to announce that I made a Patreon. I don't really know how to announce this thing to you guys, but it's gonna be in the description down below. But I'm gonna ask one thing. I sincerely only ask you guys to donate or support me if you truly believe it's worth the cost of this channel. Other than that, you don't have to support me or donate to me. Completely fine. I just sincerely ask before you do it if you truly believe it's worth the cost of this channel. It's pretty much it. It's pretty much all I wanted to announce. I don't want to waste any of your guys' time. And as usual, I hope you all enjoy the video. The creator of the sculpture KRYPTOS was Jim Sanborn. The name KRYPTOS comes from the ancient Greek word hidden, and the theme of the sculpture is intelligence gathering. Jim Sanborn was an American sculptor who was famous for his themes of work, which include making the invisible visible. Sanborn was commissioned by the CIA in the 1980s to create the art around their new headquarters. However, Sanborn wanted to make some type of encrypted project to represent the CIA headquarters, so he teamed up with Edward Scheidt, a retired CIA chairman, to help design the encryption text and methods. Little did they know, they would make one of the largest scavenger hunts of all time. After the sculpture was created, many started to work and decrypt the codes hidden within the sculpture. Many failed and were perplexed on where to start. Frustration from the CIA employees and code breakers began to build up. The sculpture also contained other pieces of art on the CIA grounds that contained secret messages on them, such as several Morse codes found on copper sheets, and one of the stone slabs had an engraving of a compass rose. The coded text of KRYPTOS seemed impossible, and deciphering it all can be a formidable task. Even when the most casual of observations can be difficult to see. But this would all change. Finally, years after the sculpture had been made, there was finally a breakthrough. More than 8 years, in July 1999, there would be a public announcement that 3 out of the 4 passages have been solved. Jim Gilligley, a computer scientist from Southern California, would come out publicly to reveal his solutions to the first 3 passages. However, after Jim would announce his reveal, the CIA would quickly reveal that their analyst, David Stein, had solved the exact same 3 passages earlier than Jim in November 1998, using pencil and paper techniques to help decipher the codes. But of course, after the CIA would announce this, the NSA claimed that some of their employees had solved the exact same 3 passages way before Jim or David. They claimed the NSA team led by Ken Miller and others had solved the 3 passages in late 1992. The NSA released documents that show these attempts to solve the KRYPTOS puzzle in 1992. The documents show a small group of NSA cryptanalysis had been successful and solved the first 3 passages of KRYPTOS. So in reality, 3 out of the 4 passages have been solved since 1992, but wouldn't be announced publicly till 1999 by Jim Gilligley. They all would use different ciphers and methods to decrypt the passages, but at the end of the day though, it doesn't really matter because all of their solutions came down to the same result. I myself am not too familiar with cryptology, even after trying to understand the ciphers for hours on end, but I will try my best to explain the methods. They saw that the sculpture was divided into 2 main parts. One side depicts a modified Vigenère table, while the other side contains the actual coded message of the 865 characters mixed with 4 question marks. They found that the 2 passages can be solved by using a Vigenère cipher. The Vigenère cipher is a method of encrypting alphabetic texts by using a series of interwoven Caesar ciphers based on the letters of a keyword. It employs a form of polyalphabetic substitution. In simple terms, the Vigenère is an encryption and decryption algorithm, a simple code that substitutes one letter for another. But it gets more difficult because not all letters substitute for another letter. There are many different letters that are used differently depending on where and which keyword is used and which alphabetic substitution you are using. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but I tried my best. It's difficult to say the least. After they decrypted the first portion of the KRYPTOS puzzle, it said this: between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of illusion. Very mysterious and strange for many, but this was a phrase written by Sanborn himself, and he stated that he purposely misspelled illusion to throw people off. The second portion of the puzzle was solved using the Vigenère method as well. By using the keywords KRYPTOS and abscissa, they were able to decrypt the passage, which said this: it was totally invisible. How's that possible? They used the Earth's magnetic field X. The information was gathered and transmitted underground to an unknown location, X. Does Langley know about this? They should. It's buried out there somewhere. X. Who knows the exact location? Only WW. This was his last message. X 38 degrees 57 minutes 6.5 seconds north, 77 degrees 8 minutes 44 seconds west. X layer 2. The coordinates shown in the passage will be thrown up on the screen right now, but it's referencing a point 53 meters southeast of the sculpture. Both of these passages were somewhat simple compared to the third one, which took some extra steps for them to complete. They found that the part 3 of KRYPTOS used a keyed kilometer transposition cipher. A transposition cipher is not the same as a substitution cipher, as you are not substituting one letter for another, but instead you are shifting plain text characters in a regular pattern to form ciphertext. For example, the swapping of 2 and 5 on a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 to 1, 5, 3, 4, 2, 6 is a transposition. But of course, it's not that simple because you still need to find the key to use for it, and there's still some different transposition ciphers to use. But nonetheless, they solved it, and it said this: slowly, desperately slowly, the remains of passage debris that encumbered the lower part of the doorway was removed. With trembling hands, I made a tiny breach in the upper left-hand corner, and then, widening the hole a little, I inserted the candle and peered in. The hot air escaping from the chamber caused the flame to flicker, but presently details of the room within emerged from the mist. X. Can you see anything? Q. This is paraphrased quotation from Howard Carter's account of the opening of the Tome of Tutankhamun on November 26, 1922. 3 out of the 4 passages have now been decrypted from the KRYPTOS puzzle. It seemed like they were getting closer and closer to solving it. Maybe this unsolvable puzzle can be solved after all. However, nobody expected this to be just the beginning for these cryptanalysis. After the third passage had been solved, everything suddenly stopped. Although the fourth passage was one of the shortest passages, only contained 97 characters, it would prove to be a challenge. To solve part 4, cryptologists have tried every method at their disposal, from polyalphabetic substitutions to transpositions. No luck would be found. Many speculated that the final section had to be a combination of techniques used in the past sections. In 2006, Sanborn said that the answer to the first 3 passages contained clues to the 4th passage, but even with that, they were never able to solve it. In November 2010, Sanborn released a clue publicly stating that NYPVTT, the 64th to 69th letter in passage 4, becomes Berlin after decryption. Later in 2014, he would give another clue claiming that the letters MZFPK, the 70th to the 74th letters in passage 4, become clock after decryption. The clue has yet to be the breakthrough the code crackers had hoped it would be. However, the last section still remains unsolved. But on January 29, 2020, by the New York Times, Sanborn would once again give another hint, which he states, at positions 26 through 34, ciphertext QQ, PR, NG, KSS is the word northeast. In August 2020, Sanborn revealed that the 4 letters in positions 22 through 25, ciphertext FLRV, in the plaintext are east. That has been the most recent clue we have gotten thus far, but time is passing and 30 years later, and nobody has solved the sculpture. Jim Sanborn is now in his 70s and is getting quite old, and has stated that if the puzzle were to outlive him, he would simply put the secret up for auction, and he states the buyer could reveal the secret or continue to maintain the system for submissions to see if anybody can solve the mystery. Till this day, you can still submit entries to his email if you have a potential solution to the puzzle, but so far none of them have been successful. People are said to still be solving it till this day, using every method in the book, but none have prevailed. But even if the last passage was to be solved, it has been stated several times that together the whole sculpture reveals a riddle, and the final part of the puzzle is a riddle hidden within the riddle. KRYPTOS is interesting to say the least. But will it ever be solved? And if so, what happens if you do solve it? Well, nothing really. There is no prize to all of this, but many just want to see if it's solved. I'm sure the CIA will applaud you at the end of the day, though, and even offer you a position to work for them. But the current standing of the 4th passage remains a puzzling mystery for many. So, that's the end of the story. I don't really know what else to say. Thank you all for watching. It truly means the world if you stuck around to the end. I really hope it was that entertaining for you guys to stick around to the end. Thank you for all the support. It's been absolutely insane like always. And another reminder, the Patreon's gonna be down in the description down below if you want to support me. And it truly means the most to me. To all the supporters, if you guys just stick around, just watch the videos. Just anyone in general, just thank you all. It's been absolutely insane. And yeah, that's about it. Bye.